And everybody, this is like a real presentation, so everybody should introduce yourself. Tell your blood type and whatever it is. Get started.
Okay. Hello everyone, I'm Hannah, and my presentation is called Creative Power and Innovation on the Internet, or Why Cartoons on YouTube Are Awesome. When I chose this topic, my original sequence of thoughts was something like this. My passion is cartoons and animation. I have a goal to be involved in creation of quality animation somehow. And when I'm talking about animation, like creator of animation, I'm not just talking about artists. I'm talking about actors, writers, producers, directors, etc. And acting and writing are two of the things I really want to do. So I came at this topic with a lot of preconceived notions. First, I've heard a lot of discouraging words. Classes that I've taken, workshops that I've been in, books I've read, articles I've read, they always manage to bring up the idea that making it in the business is all about making money and absolutely nothing else, leaving out creative vision entirely. If you can't make money with your cartoon that you're making, you are doomed. I've also had the notion that working for network TV is really stifling. That a situation where the creative team was commanded by backers to change the story in order to sell products like toys is super typical. There's a fairly recent Hasbro incident where this very thing happened that I'll get to in a little bit. And I've seen a lot of programs that have been canceled regardless of great storytelling and production values because they weren't making enough money. That's why they were canceled. And yet, I still think cartoons are extremely important. They help teach children valuable life lessons, and the animation medium means that literally anything is possible. Storytelling has absolutely no limits whatsoever. You can do anything you want to when you tell a story with animation. I also feel a very personal excitement about YouTube programming. I know about the successes of companies like Frederator in creating cartoons for their YouTube channels, and I've done a lot of voice work for independent internet-based projects. So there's some excitement there for the subject matter that keeps me aiming for my goal and ignoring all the doom and gloom talk. So I began my research. I discovered that a dominant reason that profit-making and product sales are thought of as more important than storytelling and creativity is that by the mid-2000s, only 5 global firms dominated the entire mass media industry in the US. And we've talked about this in class before. You can see here that the main companies that own everything are Time Warner, CBS, Disney, NBC, and Liberty. And you can see how they're all connected with each other. And when the big problem is that when 5 organizations control all the media, competition and creativity are reduced. However, YouTube is becoming a viable source for creative storytelling. YouTube-based animation programming has been receiving Emmy nominations, which is really exciting, and DreamWorks has started a new channel where not only do they host clips of older cartoons like maybe He-Man and Rocky and Bullwinkle, but they have newer cartoons based on their current franchises like Puss in Boots and Shrek and Poe. And it's mostly for younger kids. And they've realized that this is a good thing because they're reaching more audiences with their already established franchises. Malik Ducard is the Google Content Partnership Director, and he believes that entertainment collaborations with YouTube represent a very natural progression of making entertainment readily available, as studios see YouTube as a good place to extend what they're doing and build community. Now remember this idea of community because I'm going to be coming back to it later. So now, I mentioned Frederator before, and I'd like to introduce you to them now. They are another collaborator with YouTube to produce television quality cartoons on the internet. They've been producing animated work since 1998, and creators are able to make their own films with Frederator providing the producing platform to bring their creative projects to light. They've been producing animated material for television for a long time, but my report focuses on their presence on the internet, specifically Cartoon Hangover on YouTube, which such shows like Bravest Warriors, Bee and Puppy Cat, Dead End, Blackford Manor, and Dr. Lollipop. So I'd like to introduce you to Fred Seibert. He is the founder of Frederator. He's worked on many, many highly acclaimed animated projects throughout the years. He explains how he's always been attracted to the idea of community, and he's found it everywhere from MTV to Cartoon Network. In his biography on the Frederator site, which is called I've Lived 5 Lives So Far, he says, "Today, the internet is the new town square, the place where people with fresh ideas are meeting and collaborating and creating a brand new pop culture. This new culture is made up of hundreds of distinct, unique communities. Great talent was drawn here like flies on honey, and I knew I had to be a part of it." His creative vision of community has inspired many, many people, and it also inspires me. Recently, there was a Kickstarter done for something called Bee and Puppy Cat, and not Bee and Puppy Cat, Miss Officer and Mr. Truffles. And that was a show that was trying to happen, and it was based on a comic strip that a bunch of people from all over the world fell in love with and wanted to make it into a TV show. It hasn't done very well, but the idea and the spirit behind it is really strong. But Frederator has had recent success with a Kickstarter project for Bee and Puppy Cat. So I would like to show you guys this video. This was the video that they released for the Kickstarter for Bee and Puppy Cat. Check out Fred Seibert's energy as he promotes the Kickstarter. Also, to bring this back to something that I'm going to talk about later, you can see that at the beginning of this they had a bumper for Dead End, which is their newest cartoon that they just released. It's hilarious. I recommend you go watch it. But if I had shown this video to you a couple months earlier from now, that bumper would have been for something completely different, something totally new that they had been promoting 2 months earlier. When they start a new cartoon, when they put up a new one, every bumper on all of their videos changes to the one for the new cartoon. And that's one type of advertising they do. So here is the video. If the sound will work.
Try the audio on the board over there a little bit.
Oh, no. Okay. Keys work.
It's like it kind of has to get started for some reason
No.
once. There's also a dial up here if it's not turned all the way down. Yeah, yeah.
Let's try it. Nope, not working. There we go, yay! Okay.
Hello, welcome to a Kickstarter.
Hi, I'm Fred Seibert. I'm the executive producer of Bee and Puppy Cat and all the other Frederator Studios cartoons, a place where we take our funny cartoons really probably too seriously. We've made hundreds and hundreds of cartoons over the years, including favorites of yours like The Fairly Odd Parents, Adventure Time, Bravest Horrors, and of course Bee and Puppy Cat, which is created by Natasha Allegri. At least from our perspective, Bee and Puppy Cat is a sort of pure vision of Natasha's that has been brought right from her pen right to the screen and right to you. That doesn't really happen in the traditional television network system. And we figured that with this Kickstarter we can get her vision on the screen right to you much more efficiently.
My name's Natasha Allegri. I worked on a short called Bee and Puppy Cat for Cartoon Hangover. The short was about a girl named Bee, the mysterious puppy cat, and sparkle effects. Frederator put together this Kickstarter so that with your help, I might get the chance to make more Bee and Puppy Cat shorts for you. And I really like that, because I think it would be really nice. Okay, no!
For years, I've tried to convince network executives and movie executives that cartoons that center around women, created by women, for something more than just little kids, would be a really valuable, wonderful cartoon to have. And they've been kind of resistant, so we're happy that when we've put the shorts of Bee and Puppy Cat up on the air, that you have responded like so greatly. By the way, not just women, but men too. The audience is like huge. You know it, all your friends know it. It's become a cartoon that has really like seeped into everyone's consciousness in a really short time. And we're really excited for the idea to be able to have Natasha bring it to a whole series.
I like your fairy tale puppy cat. If you want, I can help you figure out a nice ending.
So, when I supported the Kickstarter for Bee and Puppy Cat, it was really inspiring to see the work and ideas of a woman as amazing as Natasha Allegri actually come to fruition. What's also really inspiring is Fred's enthusiasm as he talks about his company's new animation channels on the internet, calling it a video revolution that's still unfolding. To help me dig a little deeper into the creative impact of this video revolution that Fred is talking about, I interviewed Eric Homan, the Vice President of Development for Frederator. I asked Eric quite a few things in my interview. One of the things we talked about was about how important the work was that Frederator did before the Kickstarter for Bee and Puppy Cat. He said that a lot of creators make the mistake of starting a fundraiser without an established fan base, which is probably what happened to Miss Officer and Mr. Truffles. And he explained that Frederator spent a year cultivating their audience before the Kickstarter even began, and that, along with the unique voice of its creator, Natasha, made the Kickstarter a success. Another thing I wanted to find out is how, in a creative sense, producing a show for YouTube is different from television-based material. He told me there are as many different ways of approaching production as there are types of productions on YouTube, and that Frederator tends to approach it following more traditional models that are used for television in regards to pre-production, animation production, and post-production work. Then he mentioned something I find really interesting, that within the structure, every production is handled differently, based mainly on the direction of the show's creator. Frederator is very much a creator-driven studio, and we do our best to accommodate their visions. Paying attention to accommodating the visions of creative artists, as Eric talks about, really seems to be unique to only a small handful of studios, with the trend seen much more often on the internet than on television, according to expert David Perlmutter, who wrote the book America Tunes In. This new book is a thorough study of the history of television animation in the U.S. from 1948 to the present, and it's very well researched and really well written. Mr. Perlmutter says that through his research, he's observed what he's called a renewed relevance of and respect for television animation in the 21st century, due mainly to the intervention of cable channels. He points to YouTube as a great resource for programming of animation in the future. And he also talks about the age-old problem of money versus creative integrity, which we mentioned before. Money versus creativity. That question brings up the incident with Hasbro, the toy company that I mentioned in my introduction. My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, was created by Lauren Faust. It was revived by Lauren Faust, I should say. She created such shows as Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends and Powerpuff Girls. She had an idea of what her new series was going to be like, and it was a massive hit. However, Hasbro, the show's backer, started requesting characters and situations be added and changed primarily so they could sell toys. Their demands messed with Lauren's story and vision so much that she left the project. To me, this sounds like the evil image of the corporate backer that Perlmutter often talks about in his book. However, I was able to get a little different perspective from my interview. Besides talking with Eric Homan, I also received some answers to my interview questions from Matt Gielan, who is the Director of Programming and Audience Development at Frederator and the Head of Programming for Cartoon Hangover and Channel Frederator Network. He gave me a different perspective on my question about the Hasbro problem. I quote from the interview, "Naturally, a company like Hasbro will want to make sure their cartoons have toy potential. However, that doesn't mean a show's creators can't make cartoons that are compelling and entertaining. However, I do think Hasbro's more toy-driven approach is one of the extremes in the business. While I can't speak for other creators and producers on YouTube, I can tell you we've not asked our Cartoon Hangover filmmakers to drive creative based on potential toys." Matt also gave some insight about the creative side of programming in an online interview with Frederator Times. He calls programming the art and science behind getting people to your channel, keeping them on your channel, and then having them come back to your channel. This is a creative side to animation production that I hadn't really considered much before. It involves an extensive, in-depth look at many elements, which he explained for me. They track views and social metrics such as likes, comments, favorites, and shares, and also track watch time, measuring how long people watch their videos and when they leave or pause the video. Matt also shares the enthusiasm expressed by Eric and Fred when he says that their YouTube channel is on the cutting edge of a new industry. We are literally blazing this trail every day. I've learned that Cartoon Hangover, they don't just publish new shorts and call it good, but they do promotion, which is like the bumper in front of the video I showed you. They pay attention to scheduling, and they study all the statistics behind every single video's viewing. A lot of care is put into it, and that's a huge advantage for creators. Personally speaking, as someone who intends on going into the business as a creator of quality animation, I really appreciate the advantages of internet-based cartoon programming. Sure, I'll still hear all the gloom and doom talk, but how everything always comes down to money, and if you can't be commercial and go for the money, then you might as well give up now. But learning about a company like Frederator with all its creative talent and energy, and seeing the future looking really bright for YouTube hosted animation, I can go forward with hope and keep working to better my craft. And in the words of Eric Homan, ultimately, I think success for a creator is determined by making both you and your audience happy, whether on TV or on the internet. Thank you.
Who's got questions?
I liked what I ran into that too. I like what you said about money versus creativity. It's going to be an age-old dilemma.
That was a big thing for me going into this project. That's what I wanted to find out about. That was pretty much what pushed me to it. Because I said that's all I've heard in like every class I've taken, every book I've read, everything. It's always, if you can't make money, you're doomed. And I hate that. It makes me sad.
How hard was it to get a hold of those guys?
It was actually really easy. I emailed the generic Frederator address and explained what I was doing, and Eric wrote me back the same day. And I sent him my questions about a week later, and he got them. He actually talked to Matt for me and a couple other, and he said, yeah, he talked to Matt for me and then sent me the questions back. And he was really nice to work with, and I really, really appreciated it. It was cool.
Did you tell him your background in the business?
A little bit, not very much. I mostly just said I want to go into animation at some point, and that's why I'm writing this. So yeah.
Great. Who else had a question?
I just remember actually catching Bravest Warriors because I remember I saw it on some, very side-handed little link on YouTube, and I'm like, this looks kind of interesting. And then about 3 episodes later, I was like catatonic with delight.
It's so good.
And I'm like, has anybody ever heard of this? And I actually went, and it actually, warranted a visit to Facebook, even if it wasn't to my wall, just to go to my messenger board and like destroy everyone's inbox with, hey, have you seen this thing?
Yes.
It's really cute.
Yes. And if you guys haven't seen Bee and Puppy Cat, I really recommend it too. It is fabulous. It's so good.
I've seen the ads
Yeah.
for it.
There's
but I
only 2 episodes right now, but the Kickstarter was a success, and so they're working on the series now. And that should be coming out within the year, I think. Dead End was released like a week ago, and it's super cute. It's just less than 10-minute short, and it's adorable and funny. The internet is possessed in it, and it's really good. Yeah, they do great work. Dr. Lollipop is also hilarious. So that's why I included it on the list.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. I also recommend